Shigeru Miyamoto may be known today as the creator behind some of the most beloved video game characters in history, but his career at Nintendo began with an unexpected challenge. In the early 1980s, the company had an arcade machine that was failing badly, and they needed someone to turn it into a success before it disappeared completely. So how did a young designer with no experience creating video games end up reshaping the entire industry? The story begins in 1952 with a young boy who grew up exploring the countryside in a small Japanese town. An artist who loves stories. Shigeru Miyamoto was born in 1952 in Sanobe, Japan, a quiet rural town surrounded by forests and caves. As a child, he spent hours exploring the countryside, wandering through fields and tunnels, imagining stories about what might be hiding just beyond the next hill. Those childhood adventures would later inspire the worlds he created in video games. But Miyamoto didn't grow up dreaming of designing video games. He loved drawing, puppetry, and storytelling. When he attended the Kanazawa Municipal College of Industrial Arts, he studied industrial design and hoped to become a toy designer or illustrator. In 1977, Miyamoto's father helped him land an interview at a small playing card company in Kyoto, Japan. At the time, Nintendo was trying to reinvent itself as an electronic entertainment company. Miyamoto joined the company as a staff artist, designing arcade cabinet artwork and toys. No one knew it yet, but the future of video games had just walked through the door. But Miyamoto's real opportunity would come when Nintendo faced one of the biggest failures in its early arcade history: the creation of Donkey Kong. In 1981, Nintendo had a major problem. Its newest arcade game, Radar Scope, had flopped in North America. Thousands of unsold arcade cabinets were sitting in warehouses, costing the company enormous amounts of money. Nintendo's president, Hiroshi Yamauchi, needed a new game quickly, something that could reuse the same mechanics. So he turned to the young artist. Miyamoto began imagining a simple story: a hero trying to rescue a woman from a giant ape. The characters were simple but memorable. The hero was called Jumpman, a carpenter who climbed ladders and leapt over barrels. The villain was Donkey Kong, a mischievous ape inspired partly by Popeye cartoons. And the kidnapped woman was called Pauline. When the game launched in 1981, it became an instant arcade hit. Players loved the characters, the challenge, and the sense that they were playing through a story rather than just chasing high scores. Jumpman would soon be renamed Mario, and video games would never be the same. But Donkey Kong wasn't just a successful arcade game, it revealed something new about video games themselves: turning games into worlds. Before Donkey Kong, most arcade games were built around simple ideas such as shooting aliens, chasing ghosts, or surviving as long as possible. But Miyamoto believed games could be more than that. He believed that video games could feel like places. In 1985, Miyamoto helped create Super Mario Bros. For the Nintendo Entertainment System. Instead of a single screen, players traveled across an entire world, running through fields, underground tunnels, and castles. The game felt alive. Every jump, every enemy, and every hidden block was designed to guide players forward through discovery and surprise. Super Mario Bros. Became one of the best-selling video games of all time and helped revive the video game industry after the crash of 1983. For millions of players, it wasn't just a game, it was their first adventure. But Miyamoto wasn't finished redefining what games could be. The Legend of Zelda and exploration. While Mario focused on action and movement, Miyamoto had another idea. He wanted to recreate the feeling of exploring the forests and caves from his childhood. In 1986, Nintendo released The Legend of Zelda. Instead of guiding players through a fixed path, the game allowed them to explore a vast world filled with secrets, hidden dungeons, mysteries waiting to be discovered, and a sense that the world was larger than the screen. Players weren't just completing levels, they were going on a journey. The The Legend of Zelda introduced ideas that would influence decades of game design, including open-world exploration, non-linear storytelling, and hidden secrets scattered across the landscape. Miyamoto had transformed video games again, this time into adventures driven by curiosity. And as technology advanced, Miyamoto continued pushing games into new dimensions, reinventing games in 3 dimensions. By the 1990s, video games were changing once again. New hardware allowed developers to experiment with 3D worlds. In 1996, Miyamoto helped lead the development of Super Mario 64 for the Nintendo 64. For the first time, players could move freely through a fully 3-dimensional environment, running, jumping, and climbing. The game introduced the analog control stick and camera systems that would become standard across the entire industry. Many developers still consider Super Mario 64 as one of the most influential video games ever created. Once again, Miyamoto had shown the world a new way to play. But Miyamoto's greatest impact wasn't just individual games, it was how he changed the philosophy of game design itself. Designing for joy. Miyamoto often said that the most important question in video game design was simple: is it fun? He believed games should be welcoming, imaginative, and filled with moments of surprise. That philosophy shaped countless Nintendo classics, from Star Fox to Pikmin to Wii Sports. Instead of focusing on realism or technical complexity, Miyamoto focused on play itself, on how movement feels, how discovery unfolds, and how small moments of joy appear as players explore a world. And because of that approach, his games reached audiences far beyond traditional gamers, welcoming children, families, and entire generations of players who might never have picked up a controller otherwise. Which brings us to the lasting legacy of the man who helped define the medium. The legacy of Shigeru Miyamoto. Shigeru Miyamoto didn't just create some of the most famous games in history, he helped shape the way the world understands what video games can be. His journey began as a young child exploring the forests and caves of rural Japan, continued as a designer unexpectedly asked to rescue a failing arcade machine, and eventually grew into the work of a storyteller who believed games could feel like adventures. Over time, those ideas quietly transformed an entire industry. Miyamoto never approached games simply as pieces of technology to be mastered. Instead, he treated them as playgrounds for imagination, where curiosity could guide players through worlds filled with discovery. That philosophy is the reason his work still resonates today. His games remind us that the most powerful experiences do not always come from realism or spectacle, but from creativity, exploration, and the simple joy of stepping into a new world. Shigeru Miyamoto didn't just make video games, he helped teach the world how to dream inside them. Thanks for watching! What's your favorite Shigeru Miyamoto game? Do you prefer Super Mario Bros., The Legend of Zelda, Donkey Kong, or Super Mario 64? Share your memories in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, hit the like button and subscribe for more deep dives into animation, video game, and comic book history. See you in the next video!